Hey, what's up, everybody? Xbox All In channel. Host Sega Forever here, and I'm running a little All In chat. Hopefully, Hebot will join us. I had a good conversation with my brother yesterday afternoon. I was gonna put a podcast together, but I just too much stuff going on. So I figured I'd just do it for a Saturday morning. Not a wrecking crew, just an All In chat. So if you guys want to jump in and you guys want to throw some questions out there, be more than happy to answer them, as well as have conversation on everything that's been going on. I'll be honest with you guys, I was sick. I did a video last week, and after that video, man, I pretty much hung it up, took some medication, and that was it. I was out for 4 days. And so, one of the few things I got to do was kind of keep up with the news. Um, just for the simple fact that I couldn't go to work. Man, I was stuck at home trying to get comfortable. It was pretty rough, I'm not going to lie, dude. I don't know what I had. It was probably one of the worst flus, colds, slash viruses I've ever caught. It was affecting my entire body. It's not comfortable at all. Got all these medication, man. And normally when I take medication, it usually works on me, especially if I get the stronger stuff, like the stuff that's behind the counter. But man, my body wasn't having it. I think part of it was because I had a upset stomach as well. My stomach was affected, so the efficacy of the medication I was taking probably wasn't that good. My stomach got a little better by Monday, man, and the drugs started kicking in, and then I made a recovery on Tuesday. And I'm not gonna lie, man. I like the rest or whatever rest I could get from it. But man, for me, I tell my friends all the time, dude. I know I'm feeling bad when I can't play video games. That's how bad it was. Because I had a pounding headache, dude. Neck was sore, back was sore, coughing nonstop, dude. Just spitting up crap. It was horrible. It was a horrible experience. I'm glad it's over. Thank God for that. And come back to see what's going on uh, with gaming. Kind of looking forward to Towerborn, as I talked about in my other video that I did. That was the game I was looking forward to playing, which ironically I really couldn't play for two reasons. One, I was sick, and the second reason being I was having a hard time connecting to the game. From the day one, I could not even access it. Next day comes around, I was able to get in, play for a little bit, try and figure out what the game's all about. Um, and then when I stopped playing, to go do something, come back a little bit later to play, or actually the next day after work I was gonna play, and then tried to get in and I couldn't again. Like the server, you can tell it's in preview for those of us on Xbox. It's in preview. I did not know all the Steam people got it first, which I don't have a problem with, guys. I see people do have a problem with that. I understand. You want Xbox to get top tier because that's the console you rock out with. This the ecosystem you support. I get it, right? But at the end of the day, dude, I don't mind if the PC guys and the Steam guys get it first. Just for the simple fact that they can go through all the bugs and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of what they're used to. And, I prefer it if they come here with a little bit more polish on it. And like I said, it is in preview. It kind of shows. And I'm not saying it's bare bone, but compared to what I was reading about the game prior to it coming to Xbox, looks like we got a lot more content than the guys who previously were playing it had. And I can appreciate that, dude. I think it's actually a good call on Xbox's part, aside from some of the stuff they're getting critiqued on as far as the pricing increases and stuff, and we'll talk about that as well. But as far as Towerborn is concerned, man, I've really been enjoying the game. I love those type of games, man. Those are right in my wheelhouse when I was a lot younger, especially with Saturn, man. 2D side scrolling action type games were that was my bread and butter back in the day. Platformers as well. Played a lot of sports games, a lot of fighting games. That was my rotation, right? My taste have definitely changed over the years. But that's what I used to do. So Towerborn for me is a kind of throwback. And I'm not gonna lie, dude, I was drawn to the game mostly because of the way it looked. And then when I found out that Stoic was the ones that are working on the game, that's what kind of drew me in even more. Because their Banner Saga series, as far as story and just presentation and art design, is all on point for me. Um, the only problem I ever have with Banner Saga is that it's a turn-based type game, and like I said, guys, I don't have a problem with turn-based type games. They're just not what I would necessarily go to. Now, in fairness to a lot of people making turn-based games, and why I'm able to play them is because they're adding the different, just like every other genre, right? It's a mix of different things. So predominantly turn-based games are turn-based. You can have RPG elements in it. The stories are definitely a driving factor. That's one of the things about the Halo series, or the Halo. What do they call it? MMORPG, I forget. Halo Wars. That sucked me in, right? Because it has a really good story as well, and it's in the universe of Halo, right? All those little things do matter to me. Um, and I'm pretty sure the developers and the people who created the games can appreciate that too, because it shows in the body of work that they've done. And I haven't played the game for a long period of time, but I've played it long enough to get the gist of what everything that's going on, as far as the gear, gameplay. Definitely, dude. It's this game is interesting because when you first play out, it just seems like a simple hack and slash. But the more you play, the more you level up, the more stuff you unlock, dude. There's a lot of depth to it. How deep this world goes with Towerborn, I have no idea. I'm looking forward to finding out. Just I'm looking forward to playing it, dude. I'm looking forward to exploring every aspect of it, dude. It's definitely piqued my interest for certain things. But now that I'm actually playing the game, the gameplay, I find I begin to love it more and more. It's the same thing that happened with me with Avowed. But Avowed, first and foremost, to me, is the actual gameplay and the combat system. I really do like it. On that first person perspective, the way you execute your attacks makes a lot of sense, dude. Love the effects. Um, Love the weight, and whether it's in the striking, the power you feel when you unleash a spell, all that stuff. Right? And so, to me, it's interesting because a lot of these teams that are putting this stuff together, well, Obsidian is its own beast, but you can tell that they leveled up for about. Um, that's what I feel with Tarbone as well, right? These guys are taking the next steps into increasing, like they're going into, from turn-based to action. A lot of stuff can get lost in translation, but from the stuff that I'm playing, absolutely enjoying it, man. It'll definitely be one of the games in my rotation. The only problem I have is that Frag also jumped or dropped. Shout out to T Reaper. Um, he's been posting stuff on his channel and talked about it in the last podcast or the last video that I did. And we don't talk about he mentioned Frag Punk, and so looking forward to playing that. If I get the time, hopefully I do. Yeah, I mean, dude, I might have to just buy another card for my Xbox Series X, just for the simple fact, dude, that I got so much stuff on the internal and the external hard drive. Because a lot of the things, dude, and this is how I was talking to Hebot about this yesterday. The reason I know a lot of people don't own an Xbox or don't play Game Pass or aren't in the Xbox ecosystem is when they complain about Xbox, whether it's legitimate complaints or not. Um, One of the things they never mention, right, is the storage space issue when it comes to gaming especially in Game Pass, right? Because Game Pass has so many games. Most of us on the Xbox side, guys like myself who bleed green, we have I have over 1,000 games. We have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of games. I think Keybots are around 3,000. It's ridiculous. Um, and having to put that most of these games on your hard drive because of the XNS thing, um, just because the way that it's going to run, if it's not. Again, I've been high on cloud, especially lately. I've been actually using cloud mostly for the smaller games, man. But when it works, and it's awesome. And it's a solution that they can use, right, to circumvent the problem with the storage space until terabytes and stuff like that storage gets cheaper, right, and more affordable. And who knows, that's going to happen because we all know Xbox raised the prices on all of their stuff, right? Their games, their console, and the peripherals. Um, and like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit in the podcast. But yeah, definitely, if you guys are interested in Towerborn, highly recommend you check it out. I know it's hard, right? Because there's so many games that dropped in these last couple months. I'll be honest with you, since last year, right? It was getting hard and heavy. Because and especially if you guys are like me, sorry guys, especially if you guys are like me, um, I tend to play a game if I like it, I buy it. Um, and I don't wait for a sale. Sometimes I get stuff on sale just for the simple fact that I get games just fall off my radar, man, because I get involved in something like how I was with not Vermintide, with Darktide, right? That thing was absolutely just crunching my time because I enjoyed playing that game so much. And it has a leveling up element and stuff like that, right? There's things that keep you interested in the game to give it replay value, and that's the problem again that I'm having with a lot of these games. A lot of these games have either replay value or games that are built for you to play on a consistent rotation. So you don't want to be unloading and dropping off these games from your hard drive. You want to keep them on there. And a lot of these games, you need to play it off your hard drive. Well, especially for me, I can't play it on no cloud, even if it's offered on the cloud. It's not going to work. Play a lot of multiplayer and shooters. So, I got to keep it on the hard drive. And so, again, you know, and when I talk about people who complain about stuff, right, they never complain about this stuff when it comes to Xbox, right? Um, Number one, you can just get rid of most of the people because it's like Xbox sucks. Xbox has no games. So you hear that, just ignore those guys. But then when people try and do the deep dive on Xbox and the problems with it, man, if you don't mention to me that the hard drive issue is an issue for you, man, you're put in the casual gamer box for me. I automatically shift you to that box, man. So most of the stuff that you say, 50, I'll start you off at 50%. But as the more these people talk to you, they go down to 10% or just ignore altogether, right? And if you're not talking about the storage issues, right, stuff like with the peripherals, right? If you're a person that plays a lot of multiplayer, like I do, the Xbox controllers, the trigger or the sticks, they need to get better with that, right? For those of you guys that know where Microsoft makes their product, the majority of it, right? Maybe get that quality control better, or maybe move from said area altogether. Yeah, I'm talking about you, China. And go to maybe you know what I talked about this on the channel all the time, dude. I would like for them to bring that stuff back here with their peripherals and their manufacturing and put like high quality. They do so much R&D and research and the testing and stuff that goes into it. I feel it's a slap in the face to waste to spend all that money, to use all that investment to create the controller that you have created, which is awesome, and just to fall apart on the actual little things that should matter as well, right? Which is the quality, uh, the total quality of your product, right? Especially when it comes to the controller. Like I said, I play a lot of multiplayer. My kid plays a lot of multiplayer, dude. And if you look at the sticks on our controllers, so if you're playing shooters, if you play Overwatch, if you play now Marvel Rivals, if you play, I'm starting to play Fireborn, I play COD, if you play Halo, Gears, I mean, the guys that are in the crew that talk about this kind of stuff, right? You can tell we spend hours on this stuff, and the wear and tear on the controller show. So much so that it's better. My recommendation is to buy an Elite controller. Drop the money to buy the Elite controller, because at least at that point you can actually buy the stuff to swap it out. If you and my Elite controllers, I had two of them. No, I had three. The first one I ever had, the Elite controller I talked about it on the video. I had that drift issue, right? And that was a problem, but still stuck with it because overall, the control, I just love the weight, the feel, the quality of it. Everything seems to be built. My point being, right, is a lot of this stuff is we outsource a lot of this stuff, right, to save on costs, right? I would prefer them to just bring it back here to make their controllers on the same level as the Elite controllers. In fact, if this hybrid stuff that they're talking about when it comes to Xbox is true, which, given the moves that Microsoft has done recently, as far as the let me see, as far as raising the prices on stuff, dude, I think that's just prepping us for what's coming down the road. Um, that's the way I'm looking at it, and I would be fine with that. But if you're going to charge a premium price, dude, you better start giving me a premium product, right? And I'm talking across the board, every little thing. I am that way. I don't mind paying for stuff, especially I'm an Xbox guy. I bleed green, right? I don't mind paying for things, but it better be quality, right? And it better last, and I better see that, and I better feel it. I'm not one of these average casual guys that game, dude. I'm an Xbox guy, dude. I bleed green. I'm hardcore. Right? So I put your console and I put your console and I put your peripherals, uh, quote unquote, the controllers through its paces. That's why when you guys do the special and you guys bring us into the lab and stuff like that, I feel every bit of that, right? Because I experience it every day that I use your product. Right. I don't want to go into the tariffs yet. Um, but I'm kind of skirting around the edges. But I don't want to jump into that exactly just yet. But for me personally, man, just get out of China. Decouple, man. That's what we should be doing. Decoupling from them. Get out of China, dude. Um, I would prefer you bring it back here. I'm pretty sure you guys would probably either take it to Southeast Asia, Mexico, or India, right? Because India is the next big. If you guys have been keeping up with the news, India is the next big boom. It has been for the longest time. And on India, unlike China, they're not facing a. India is on the other aspect of the spectrum when it comes to population. Most other countries are worried about population. The gaps that are forming because generational shift. Right, China is one of those countries. Right, a lot of their workers and stuff like that are old. They're gonna be. They won't have the same workforce, and the younger generation, for various reasons, decline in birth is one of them. The other thing is a lot of them are more educated, right? So they don't want to be working in the factories and stuff like that. Normally, their huge population would cover for that. But if you guys keep up with China, you guys know that they're having all type of cultural issues and social and cultural issues, especially with the younger generation. Okay. This is what happens when you introduce capitalism to a communist society. With that being said, right, switching over, India is the exact opposite, right? India has so many people, man. They export people all over the world, and a lot of countries benefit from that. I'm not gonna lie. The percentage of people that go out, their education level, their ability, their work ethic, and all that stuff does matter. Um, I could see Microsoft going to either one of those things. I prefer them again to bring it back to the continental U.S. Mexico would be one of those areas, especially with the factories and stuff they got built down there. But just bring it back home to the states, Microsoft, man. Just start looking at it, dude. Bring it back here, man. Get that quality control high, right, for your consumer base here, and start doing some of the stuff I want you guys to do, man. As far as your, um, you need either, dude. Just start making your own peripherals, dude. You guys have Guitar Hero, man. It's time to bring that game back. It's time to put it in Game Pass, man. It's time to work out the licensing and stuff like that. Possibly bring back your music service. I think that would be awesome. But more importantly, start making your own peripherals, right? So that we can take advantage of this kind of stuff. Especially if you're looking for a live service thing. I'm pretty sure if you make your things live service, work out deals with these companies, especially with this type of economy going on right now, you're going to be able to swing something, pull something off. Letting people use their libraries and stuff like that would be actually pretty cool. And utilize your AI, man. Your AI is actually not is pretty decent. Um, but at the end of the day, dude, I just bring that stuff back. And then again, this is what I'm saying was when I can't have a conversation with you about these kind of things, and you're supposedly an Xbox expert, I can't take you seriously. The circle of people I talk to shrinks every year when it comes to Xbox. Man. This is why I don't follow a lot of people out there. This is why I don't watch a lot of people's videos. Even if I disagree with some of the guys in our group, I know they're cognizant of the fact that what Xbox does and doesn't do. A lot of it's just personal opinion or personal choice, which is fine. Right? But bleed green is bleed green, dude. I mean, if you don't bleed green, man, I don't think you. I don't listen to IGN. That's why I can't stand when Microsoft does stuff with IGN because I don't like watching their channel. Listen to Dustin Nagari, that dude. Right. In fact, let me show you guys something real quick before we get into this. Before we switch gears and start going into some of the things I wanted to talk about today. Like right here. Look at this. See? I'm showing you guys this because I think it's important, man. It's something I talk about all the time on this channel. Guys. About how Xbox is the actual industry leader, right? The power of Microsoft and the influence of Microsoft. Look at this. Yang Ye did a video. When did he do this? 23 hours ago. See, the interesting thing is if we're going to talk about, in fact, we'll jump in it. Let's just jump into it now. We'll talk about the why is Microsoft raising the prices of Xbox now, right? This is the question. That's the question that I thought. Unlike other people who was like, they're greedy, Trump's tariffs. A bunch of people were like talking about all this kind of stuff, dude. But the first question that popped into my mind is why is Microsoft raising the price of Xbox now? To me, that is the question that we should be asking. Right? And Oshiba was here because we talked about this yesterday, and he had some interesting points to make too. Uh, but here's one of the things I noticed, right? Anytime, and this is going to be falls under the thing that I was looking at, gaming industry trends, right? If you guys don't know that, right, like every other industry, right, comic books used to do this back in the day. This is why a lot of people get confused, right, when they watch a comic book movie or they actually pick up a comic book and read, and they see that either if you have a Marvel or a DC comic book, that a lot of the heroes are actually similar, right? And there's various reasons for that. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, right? But the reason why a lot of this stuff happened, right, is because, like any other industry, man, that needs to make money, these industries follow trends, right? And the gaming industry is no different, right? Like it's just like when games as a service. You have a game like Fortnite, you have games like Overwatch, right? And they have the games as service, and there's a monetary component attached to it. And then these games, right? Not only do they get engagement, but they make money hand over fist because people are buying. There's a microeconomy in the games themselves. Fortnite being the biggest example, right? And these people are making money hand over fist because it's not just about selling a game anymore. It's about selling the game as a service, right? And then people are willing to drop their money on whether it's skins, items, whatever they're going to do. And who knows how the future is going to hold. That stuff constantly in flux, right? And there's usually a rush of people trying to get in. And I don't mind that so much, man, because out of that type of competition, out of that type of frenzy, can come a lot of quality gaming, a lot of great ideas, right? Something that could change the actual dynamic for the good. Most for the bad, but some for the good. And you have to take those risks. Really. That's just the way any industry is. Okay, hold on. Make sure. Okay, we're good. All right. So, sorry guys. Let me make sure this is okay. So okay, yeah. So, case in point, right? Xbox sucks all the air in the sucks out all the air in the room. I say that all the time on this channel, right? Because it's true. They are the de facto industry leaders, right? Because anytime Nintendo does something or Sony does something, it's on the news, right? All these people react for the most part. But there's only one company that when they do something, it not only affects the usual suspects, like I'm showing you right here, Yang Ye, there's Angry Joe, here's Destin, on again, off again, Xbox guy, Mr. Matty Plays, who's a clown. Um, RGT used to like him. He's irritating now. Well, Xbox Nation is pretty cool, guys. I like watching his stuff. Xbox Nation and Xbox Central, of course, Xbox Wire. Gay Cast guy. I don't call him by that. His real name. Hey, our favorite, Colt Eastwood, right? So the reason I'm showing all this, it's not just that I'm not trying to hate on these dudes. I'm just trying to show you the trend, right? This is, and then if you look at the 23 hours, 2 days ago, 20 hours ago, a lot of this stuff dropped. This news dropped like earlier in the week, right? Or there was rumblings of it, right? But what tends to happen that you see on YouTube is a lot of people start commenting on it when it becomes a big story. And if there's one company and one product that can cross the streams, it's Microsoft and Xbox. That's the reality of it. Some of that can be good. A lot of it is bad, right? Again, I say this all the time. Thank God Microsoft is a $1 trillion company. They can weather all this stuff, right? They'll be fine. Right? But this is what draws the clicks. This is what draws the views. Look at Young Ye. You got 95,000 views on this, right? Angry Joe got 414, and they're big channels. I'm not trying to say that like that, but right, it's just again, like I said in my other video, man, it's rinse, wash, and repeat all the time with these guys, dude. And again, dude, if Nintendo, and even though some of these dudes are Nintendo fans, some of these dudes are, and you can tell they're Nintendo fans. Sometimes they're like, "Well, I'm a gamer." No, you're not. Dude. You're a Nintendo fan. And then and a lot of these guys are definitely ponies, not just PlayStation fans. They're ponies. Right? But yeah, if you look at a lot of the content that they carry and a lot of content that they talk about, dude, it's all about Xbox. Right? And one of the reasons why And I'm not hating on it for it. I'll be honest with you, dude. Because it just, but the reason I tell you guys this, it just solidifies what I tell you, which is that Xbox is the de facto leader in the gaming industry. Whether the news they get is good or bad, whether the things that they create is going to set new trends and they never get acknowledged for it, to stuff that happens in the gaming industry that's not even Microsoft's fault and they get blamed for it. Right? Case in point, what's going on with the pricing of everything right now. Again, dude, I know you guys. I'm preaching to the choir. A lot of you guys out there that will watch my content, right? Understand how this works, right? The gaming industry uh, tends to follow a certain, like any other industry, they tend to follow certain trends, certain movements, certain things that happen, and that's from the artistic aspect to even the business side, right? So, case in point, right? Was it last year? I believe last year or the year before, Sony, right, who is supposedly the leader in the gaming industry, right, went ahead and raised their video games prices to $70. We all knew they were going to do that, right? Because they're hurting for money, and that's all because we all followed the AKB deal, right? All of this stuff just rolls down. All this, like I said in the military, crap rolls downhill, right? It starts from the top and it just comes down and just hits everybody, right? And what ended up happening was um, PlayStation lost their cash cow. Now, one of the irritating things about all of this is having to deal with number one, they're completely incompetent fans, um, through the whole process, right? And on top of that, dealing with the weaponized federal government. With that being said, at the end of the day, Microsoft was able to pull it up because they dotted their I's and they crossed their T's. They made sure they were in the right spot. They knew it was not risk averse. I'm pretty sure they weren't happy about the 2 years that they lost, right? But I think it hurt other companies like Sony more than it did Microsoft at that point. But at the worst, it could have pushed Microsoft's plans back, right? But as we know, when the announcements was made that they were able to acquire AKB, right? They that very next day they were rolling with the commercials, so they were ready to go, right? As every good company should be. And that pushed that, and that one thing alone, man, the ramifications, right? Like, again, you drop a pebble into a pond, and there's a ripple effect, right? The ripple effect when it comes to what Xbox did with that purchase, dude, is some of the stuff you're seeing to this day, right? Because Sony themselves, man, they never recovered from that. That's how reliant Sony is. Um, their market was on third party, and one of the biggest third parties was COD. Right, that's what you're seeing. That's why you're seeing them have a problem right now. This is why you see them redoing their games and re-releasing them. Right, and in a way, from a business perspective, it makes sense because if you're telling me I have a bazillion consoles that are sold, yet less than 1% of that bazillion people that own my hardware do not buy my game, I'm going to try and resell it. Makes perfect sense, right? That's why they keep on remastering these games, right? Or they're remastered or remake or whatever they do with their games, and then they'll keep on doing it. I could see them doing it for every console generation if they even last on console moving forward. Okay, well that's the reason why they do what they do, the mentality about it, and I can't blame them, dude, because their fans don't say anything to the contrary of what they want. Some people are talking out now. Some of them are more the multi-console person people, or the guys on PC and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's their own fan base, man, that makes excuses for them, right? Because their fan base is too busy looking at other people's stuff instead of constantly staying in their own home, fixing their own home. They're that neighbor, man, that'll talk about everybody else's crap outside, and meanwhile his house is falling apart. Yeah, that's the PlayStation fanboy. Right? That's them. They're always looking at other stuff, not even focusing on their own. So Sony just has a blank check to do whatever they want to, which they do, right? Which is ironic because Microsoft kind of finally went out and stepped out on a ledge and decided to just raise the prices on their stuff. Which again, I don't blame them for because that's just the gaming trend. Now, I'm not saying I like it. I'm not saying you have to like it, but you just have to deal with it. That's the reality. Okay, that they did decide to raise their stuff. I talk about this all the time on my channel, guys. Man, if you're new to my channel, I talk about this all the time, man. Sometimes when I see Microsoft do stuff, man, I feel like I might have a little bit more pride. Right. On the Xbox side, dude, we're not wanting for everything because Microsoft themselves has covered all their bases. They've covered all their bases, dude. Right. The stuff that Sony and Nintendo used to hold over Microsoft, mostly Sony, used to hold over Microsoft. That they have no ammo. Right? That stuff is dead. It's dead and gone. Microsoft doesn't have that issue anymore with the Xbox. Dude, you wanted AAA games, you got it. Not only are you getting AAA games, you're getting AAA games from studios that Microsoft went out and acquired. I've been playing their games, right? And it's been absolutely amazing as a gamer, right? Putting putting my hat aside. If I'm just telling you as a gamer, dude, Indiana Jones, amazing game. Avowed, pretty awesome game, right? South of Midnight, amazing game. I've been enjoying South of Midnight, trying to take my time with it. And I kind of dropped off on the side, played it for the weekend, got as far as Two Toe Tom, and that's all I really needed to know, that this game is an original in the making. Right? Awesome game, dude. It's one of the best games I've played so far this year. Um, if life was fair, this game would be in the game of the year conversation. It touches a lot of the stuff that game of the year award games tend to use as a barometer to nominate a game for game of the year. Right? Good character development, good story, great animation, great art, amazing graphic design, good pacing, all of that stuff. Now, again, granted, I mean, unless this thing falls apart in the next part of as I continue on the game, I highly doubt that, dude. Because normally when a game is good, dude, it starts off from a certain level and it just builds up to the final crescendo, and that's what I'm experiencing with South of Midnight. It's a game in and of itself that's both simple and complex. And I'm talking about not just the design, I'm talking about the gameplay. The character, some people were having like I saw some people where some people really couldn't identify with the main character of the game. I can kind of see that as a way, right? Because the way it starts off, the narrative between her and the mother, right, and as the story develops. But again, man, sometimes, dude, when I hear people say that, dude, just try and finish the game first, right? Because usually there's a narrative in gaming and storytelling, right? Like just like a movie, right? That's why, and then movies. If you're playing South of Midnight, think of it as you're there playing or watching a movie, right? And in movies sometimes, right, you don't like, maybe it's not what you expected, and then things starts off, you're like, I'm not sure, and you kind of let it go through because you paid your money, you're sitting in the theater, you're not going to get up and leave for the most part, right? You're going to just get through it and see what happens at the end. That's how you should think of South of Midnight. For those of you guys having a problem with the actual character, the main character, I forgot her name. I mean, I absolutely love her. I love all of the voice actors they got to play her. I love the little quips her and the mother have, right? As far as some of the sayings and stuff like that she has, definitely. I grew up in this stuff, guys. So, it has that feel like they nailed it down. But if the character is a little bit hard or rough, or the story's a little bit hard or rough, you just try and finish it and see where it goes. Because the way I'm looking at it right now, some of the stuff that they've done in the story, dude, it's amazing, by the way. But I can see them, like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna nail the ending by the time I get to the end of it, but I'm there for the ride, right? So just sit back, kind of enjoy it. Dude, again, I know sometimes when you pick a game, especially if you pick a game from a developer and you expect a um, certain type of story arc, a certain type of gameplay, stuff like that, and it's something that's totally different. Even though, man, if you played We Happy Few, it's one of the things I love about it. South of Midnight is different in and of itself, but their fingerprints are on this game. You can tell by some of the stuff that they do. But again, just remember, right? They wanted to go in a new direction. Any type of studio that wants to create something new, and then with Microsoft coming along and said, "Yeah, look, dude, we like what we see. We like your vision. Hey, here you go." And let them do that, man. You have to let companies do that. Again, Avowed, not your traditional. I talked about it on the channel. Avowed is not your traditional type game. When it comes to RPG, and some people don't like that. I understand that. It took me a couple levels or leveling up to understand what was going on in the game. Thank God I figured it out before I got too deep into it, because other people got way deep in it, and then you realize what was happening, and you have to restart their game. Again, like I told you guys, I went through it. I figured it out. I went through it right. I didn't play it exactly the way I wanted to, but then I did this. That's what I'm working on right now. The second run through, just to see too. Like okay, am I right? Yeah, the first way that I played, if I would have done A, B, C, D, E, F, G different, would I be enjoying the game? Would I be better at the game? And right now, I am pretty much checked off all of those letters. Right. I understand how the game leveling system is, dude. I understand the importance of your management of your skills, but more importantly, your gear and your resources. Right? Again, it's not a traditional RPG, dude. You just don't go back out there and earn more EXP or find more resources. Dude. Once you collect something, that's pretty much it. So you got to kind of fine tune your inventory, and you got to fine tune your resources, man. You got to make that work together in harmony. The bad thing for me about it is it goes against the way I like to play games. I'm not allowed in this game to play the game the way I truly want to. Right? It keeps you kind of laser focused on what you need to do to get to the next level and to actually finish the game. Okay. So again, Microsoft went out, got the studios, right? They're creating. And again, this was the narrative, man. This is what pisses me off about a lot of people. A lot of you guys out there, right? This is why I don't listen to most people anymore because they just lie. Or they don't know what they're talking about, or they misrepresent whatever it is, man. It doesn't benefit me at all to listen to most people out there because a lot of people told you, a lot of people are saying, right, that they would buy an Xbox if they had games that were like on PlayStation. Well, they have those games now. In fact, those games are so PlayStation games that Microsoft decided, hey, why don't we just put it on the PlayStation? Pricks. Anyway, you guys know I am on this channel, dude. I like Scorched Earth, man. I don't like this Death by 1,000 Cuts crap that Phil's doing, but it is what it is. It's not, let me not get distracted. But Microsoft went in, listened to you guys, and actually did it. Right? There's games on Xbox right now, right? Either to third party, which they've worked out deals with, or studios that they actually went and bought, or properties that they went and bought to give you what you said you wanted, right? And what did they get for all their trouble? They just get spat in the face. And like I said to he bought your shit. I'm not trying to be a gloom and doomer here, but it's that's what Microsoft gets for being a nice guy at the end of the day, right? But again, so at least you can say, hey, you guys wanted this, we gave you all this kind of stuff. Now there's no excuses. That's the best thing I can walk away with that from. But they gave you guys, they listened to you guys, right? You gamers out there. All you guys want to do is you just want to play great games. Doesn't matter about the power of the console. Doesn't matter about the console. It's all about the games, right? Anytime Microsoft does something, right? Like when Microsoft has a console that's supposedly not as powerful as any other console, or the competitor's console, right? So like they need more power. Microsoft gives you more power, and it's like, oh, it's not about power, it's the games. Microsoft doesn't have any games. In fact, they don't even have that many studios, man. And then when they start getting the games, they start making the third party deals, right? Then you guys throw that in their faces, like, oh, why are you being greedy? Now we can't play it because we're on PlayStation, or we're on PC, or we're on Nintendo. Microsoft says, okay, well, we reach across the aisle, keep on changing, keep on doing stuff, right? They don't, even the Sony Bogart stuff and makes deals with people. Microsoft won't do that because they want to be the good guy, right? They do that for you guys still ain't happy. And then again, you bring it back, right? You said, okay, well, you have more games now. Well, they never really acknowledge that they're games. Okay, well, but the games you have right now, they're not AAA. They're not AAA. They're not AAA bangers, right? There's no narrative. There's no story, dude. There's no, you guys wanted the AAA quality type of game, right? That's what you guys said. And this is the great thing about this, dude. And this happens in politics as well, dude. These guys get caught up in their own BS. They sat there and screamed for AAA games, and what do we have now? What is the main problem in the industry? The guys like Yang and Destin, even though they were screaming at Microsoft, right? All this time, they're screaming at Microsoft that they need to get AAA bangers. They need to get these studios, like how Sony has all these studios, which they fired, by the way. All those studios, the majority of Sony studios are gone, right? They needed to bring that kind of quality up. And then what's the problem right now, right? What's everybody complaining about? Oh, there's too many AAA games, or the quality of AAA games, or AAA games ain't matching the price that they're asking for, all that crap. And that became a running narrative for what, 5 years? 5-6 years? That was the narrative, right? With the AAA thing. And look at where we are, man. That's why I love that the scripture, man. Reap what you sow. Dude, you guys planted the seed, right? Or the saying, reap what you sow, right? You guys planted that seed for years, man. Now it's coming back to bite you in the ass. And I love it, dude. I love every minute of it. Right? You guys sat here on your high horses, especially you guys on the Sony side, man. Now what do you guys got? Honestly, answer my question. What do you guys have right now? Right? Besides remakes and remasters. I think Ghost of Yotai? I forget the name, but you guys got a game coming out. We'll say Yotai or some crap like that, dude. I don't know what it is. But you guys got some game coming out eventually, I think in October. You have that to look forward to, right? But then the majority of your console right now, the games that are coming over is actually from Microsoft. I think Indiana Jones finally dropped for you guys. What's the other game that dropped for you guys? There's another game that came out, right? But anyway, Forza, right? Did you guys get Forza yet? Anyway, whatever's happening right now, dude, it's hilarious to watch, dude. It's karma, right? It's justice, right? You guys have been running your mouth for so long. Dude, you guys get caught up in your own crap, dude. And then this is coming back to smack you in the face. I'm here for every single bit of it, dude. I hope you guys go out of business. I really do. I can't stand you guys. Anyway, gaming industry trend. So that's one of the major reasons, right? Because when you had other companies doing it, and you know what, dude, I understand, guys. I don't like paying higher prices for stuff, especially they're not worth it. It doesn't bother me, man, because I've already adjusted myself for this stuff, right? I talk about it all the time on my channel, dude. And we can just switch gears because part of it is the gaming industry trend because other companies decided to do this. The market is saying it's okay to do this, dude. Other industries outside of gaming is doing it as far as entertainment is concerned. And on top of that, you're experiencing it in real time in your own life when you go to buy groceries and you pay your bills, right? You're experiencing that in real time. So if that's happening to you in the real life, right, and with stuff that actually matters, you think games going to be bulletproof? No. Now, could Microsoft be the good guys and bite the bullet on this? Yeah, they could. They could. I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad that they didn't. Because, man, at the end of the day, people gotta learn, and that's what I'm tired of, dude. I mean, you guys, and by you guys, man, and you guys know what I'm talking about, right? At the end of the day, dude, the thing that irritates me the most about you guys is that you never want to deal with the consequences of your guys' actions, right? You guys sat there and told the industry falsely what you guys wanted. Because, again, and another thing I realized, dude, is you guys don't buy games. So why this bothers you at all? I have no idea why. Right? I know for a fact a lot of you guys will not go out and buy a majority of these games on day one. You guys won't. You guys aren't going out there standing in the lines and buying these games. And you guys never did. This even goes beyond inflation and the economy, which is what we'll step into next. You guys never did. You guys don't. I consider myself more on the hardcore side when it comes to gaming, and I try and support the industry, dude. And I have a hard time doing it because there's not because your money level does matter, right? Don't get me wrong. If you're rich, you can buy whatever you want to do. A lot of it for me has to do with time. Another thing is just there's so much content out there. Right? The industry's been the biggest it's ever been with content coming out left, right, and center. Right? Also dealing with the fact that we never had to deal with back in the day. A lot of these games has replay value and they have live services. Right? You could actually just own one game, like Overwatch or maybe Madden now, and they can still get money out of you because you're participating in their live service and you're participating in their ecosystem that's built into the game, right? And that's where they're getting their money from. So you have to factor all these kind of things in, right? For me personally, man, with a lot of you guys that sit there and talk about all this stuff that you want all these games, man. Hey, what's up, Daniel? Yeah, I know, a little bit of off time right now. I tried to get it last night, couldn't do it, dude. Couldn't do it. And I went out, had to go shopping, right? And then after the shopping was done, dude, I made a quick dinner. And by that time, dude, I was tired, dude. I was just ready to pass out. Love seeing the WNBA. Man, I love the Indiana Fever, man. Loving their style. Loving what they're bringing to it, man. They're not even waiting on the NBA, man. They're just stepping up and doing their own thing, which I think a lot of these teams need to do. They need to branch out themselves. They need to maximize their star power. In this case of Indiana, it's definitely going to be Caitlin, and they picked up the girl from what's it, Phoenix. They got her there, which I think was a good pickup. Picked up a big man, forced her for Caitlin, dude. They brought the two main people back that they needed. I'm glad they got the second. I can't even think of the second guard's name, man. I'm glad she's back. Dude, they're ready to roll, man. So what kind of season they have this year, bro? Draft was pretty good too, Daniel, man. Sorry, man. I want to do sports stuff, dude. It's just hard. It's just hard for me to do the Xbox stuff. I didn't even get to do that. I wanted to do a video on the 100 days of the president, but I wasn't able to get around to that. But thanks for being here, Daniel, dude. Just touching on the Xbox drama that's going on, man. Trying to getting my 2 cents out there, man. Trying to correct the misinformation that's out there. But again, at the end of the day, guys, inflation and economy, that's another thing you guys got to consider. I talk about that on my channel all the time, right? And one of the reasons I talk about it on my channel. All right, there he is, man. What's up, brother? We'll wait for Hebot to jump in, but yeah, inflation and economy. I talk about it on my channel all the time, guys. In fact, I was telling Hebot yesterday, if there's anything that probably...
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Coming in loud and clear, bro.
What's up, brother?
Yeah, I tried to call you earlier, but your box is full.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I was just sleeping.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because
No, that's
what
not
happened was I I didn't get home until like 5:30 in the morning because uh okay, how do I explain? Because my happened my daughter had her, I guess her, okay, her boyfriend, right?
yeah,
He's in the military, right?
yeah.
And his dad is dad is like messed up. I guess his kidneys are giving out. He needs to get treated, but he doesn't want to do it or whatever. So he wanted to come see him because his dad is kind of like he don't want to. He kind of gave up in a sense, but
Yeah.
he's like in his 70s or whatever,
Oh wow. Okay.
and so he doesn't want to do the treatment. So he wanted to come see his dad. So he asked for like emergency leave,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can.
and so basically he had to get a flight out and whatnot. And he got over here like you know last night, so I had to pick him up, come back here. Um, he had to get some stuff to get him to then take him to Harlem, in the city, Central Harlem, because
Mhm.
that's where his mom and dad live. So I had to drop him off and then come back. So as you know, by the time he did all that, he stopped here to meet us because he hadn't met us real quick, or he wanted to meet us. It was like so when it was all said and done, it was like 5 in the morning. I got home finally, and so I hadn't gone to sleep.
No, no, no worries, bro. Hey, man, if you need to sleep, bro, grab some Z's, man. I know how hard it is for you to get to sleep sometimes.
Yeah, but he rented out an Airbnb for now. He has to go there too, but they want to charge him like $100 from where he lives in Central Harlem to the Airbnb in Newark.
Yeah, all about that money, dude. It's crazy.
Huh?
It's all about that money, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was good, bro.
No, no, that's what I'm actually talking about right now. Because I see a lot of people up there talking. Oh, wait, here's Mr. Kima. Let me look at Mr. Kima. Mr. Kima, Microsoft head Foxconn to manufacture. Microsoft head Foxconn to manufacture the Xbox One consoles. Oh, that's interesting, Mr. Kima. Are they? So here's the thing, Mr. Kima. This is what I heard, right? And I know that Microsoft makes their stuff in China. But about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, right? It was my understanding that they were looking at moving like other companies away. In fact, I think they closed out some stuff. I wasn't sure what they closed down, if it how it tied into Xbox, but they were supposed to move. But the only thing I didn't know was were they going to move to Southeast Asia like the other companies did, or they were going to move to Mexico. To me, Mexico would probably be better because of the supply shortages they suffer from. You remember we had to kick money more to for the chips and stuff like that. Mr. Kima says Microsoft gave consumers a great deal on the Xbox Series console at $299 and $399, but they still weren't selling, so they decided to no longer want to lose money on the products. Yeah, 100%, Mr. Kima. Me and Heba was talking about that yesterday. In fact, I talk about it all the time on the channel, man. Sometimes with Microsoft, dude, I feel like, have some pride. Dude, I remember one time I went to the store, dude, the game, one of their games, dude, they dropped it by like 75%. And I was like, bro, you know what I'm saying? Look, dude, I have bad memories of KB Toys and what happened with KB Toys, right? Sure, it's good if you get the McFarlane. When I got my McFarlane, Yamir Yager, uh, Pittsburgh Penguins figure for $7.99. But at the end of the day, dude, that if you keep on doing that, that doesn't bode well for the business. You know what I'm saying? So I have no problem with them raising the prices, just for the simple fact that other companies are doing it. And I'm not just talking about Nintendo and Sony. I'm talking about every single company, dude. Everything's going up.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
Well,
focused. That's why I focus more on the inflation and economy. Go ahead, brother.
Well, I mean, I like I said, and I said it in my video. I don't know if you get to watch it. Like I said
Yeah, yeah, I haven't. I will, though. I will.
that, that you know, even if they, like, I'm thinking like, okay, if it's anything to do with the tariffs, then they would have to learn how to adjust and go to another market to get the things made, right? Because I'm assuming, and again, like I said, it's an assumption that if they weren't manufacturing a lot of consoles because they weren't selling quick enough, maybe the stock that they had was minimalistic, even on their end and out there in stores and stuff like that. Which I've never seen like the stores not get Xbox, but I've always seen it be like in small, you know, quantities, I guess.
Yeah,
Even for PlayStation. Like I've never seen like 100 PlayStation sitting there unless it's Best Buys. And Best Buy is the only place where I see a bunch of PlayStation 5 sitting there and they just sit there and they don't really move. Oh, how you know they don't move? Well, because when I went to, when I would go, you would see like the God of War bundle, which was something they did like in Christmas, and we're talking about it's already September the following year.
right, right, right.
So it's been sitting there, right? That's how I can make the right guess because they didn't bundle God of War only in the Christmas time. You know what I'm trying to say? Right?
Yeah,
Does that make sense? So if I saw like in Walmart, I saw like a bundle with Spider-Man 2. Again, they haven't done that since the release of the game. So I know it's just this console that's been sitting there that they've had for a while and they haven't sold. Now, could it be that they was in the back and they never put it out? Yeah, that's possible. But the reality of that and the likelihood of that is probably very a small margin. So, you know, it's a 50-50 thing. You can't just assume it's possible. So I'm just basing it off that. That's how I know how the consoles sit there, and they don't really sell as quick as we may think. And that's the problem with Sony. 'Cause Sony likes to give these numbers, but it's always numbers based off what they're shipping, what they sold to stores. It's not necessarily the reality of, well, this is what consumers are buying, how much they bought every single month. You know what I'm trying to say?
yeah,
It's basically what they sell to stores in units and in bulk, and that's what they shipped out. So they consider it a sale, but it doesn't still mean, oh yeah, it's sold to a consumer, right? And the other part of that is people don't look at the data, and it's also available that the PS5, for example, it's the most traded in console. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
And it's traded in by a very high margin. Like when you look at the numbers in comparison to Xbox, it's traded in a lot. And so then people will be like, well, yeah, of course it is because Xbox don't sell as much. But I'm like, the point is that most people are trading their Xbox because it's a better value. And most people won't know that and don't find that out until they get their hands on the Xbox because that's how it's always been. You see it even on YouTube when you see a bunch of these people that never had an Xbox, then they get one and they're like, holy shit, like I didn't realize how good the console really is and with the features, with what it does, the value, the accessibility. And you've seen it. A lot of it, people been seeing it. Like you saw it with that new guy that just came out that's from Britain or Europe that he calls himself Subravian. He didn't have an Xbox ever. He was always a PlayStation guy. Where I think his wife bought him one as a gift. And so he finally started playing and got into it. And he's like, holy crap. And he's been doing all these videos. And now people are like, oh, yeah, you got paid by Xbox. You got paid by Microsoft. Um, so, again, if it has anything to do with tariffs, which I'm not saying it does, because you hit a very valid point that it shouldn't be, because they should have each stock or whatever, and they probably move like to the Asian, Southeast Asia or maybe Mexico to do these these actual manufacturing, it should be alleviate the situation. But but then again, with that also being said, um, they everywhere where they had Xbox, as soon as they made the announcement, completely sold out. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I got you.
It completely sold out everywhere. It sold out in Best Buy. It's sold out in Walmart, in Target, even in the Xbox storefront. It sold out all their consoles. Like so, it worked in their favor in that sense. Uh, but then you could argue, well, how much stock did they actually have? Which I don't think that's the point. I just think that it helped them with the sales. But also, it tells us, well, either people that were still waiting and on the fence that were still on the Xbox One finally said, well, I'm gonna just get it because I'm not gonna pay $600, or they were waiting for GTA 6 or whatever the case may be because it's only gonna be on consoles.
Mm.
Those who prefer to play on Xbox, or it just shows the hypocrisy that people like. I want Xbox, but I don't want to pay because they were waiting like maybe until the Series X was like $300, and since they know that's not happening, so they're like, oh well, I'm gonna go get it now because I'm not gonna pay 600 or 700. Respectfully, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I got on the screen right now from my Twitter feed or X feed. Um, XPG posted bestseller, and it's a Xbox Series X 1 terabyte SSD console for $498 on Amazon Prime.
Even on Amazon, yeah.
Yeah, and again, that's something we were kind of touching on yesterday when we were talking about it. And again, we'll focus on inflation and economy
Hmm.
because again, it could look. And I'm not saying that I'm totally sure or I'm totally right about the tariff stuff, right? What I'm saying is that we just never got an official word from Microsoft saying why,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Which
A lot of
which
people,
which is a good point, by the way. Like
yeah,
when you said that, I was like, yeah, I mean, they should. The reality is, if it has anything to do with that,
it could
they
be. Now, in
they
fairness,
should be able to come out and they should be as they do with everything else and say, oh yeah, due to the terrorists, that's why we have to make these changes, but they haven't
well, in fairness,
publicly.
yeah, in fairness, though, let's say maybe it is, right? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But my point being is there's nothing official. And a lot of times when people talk about this kind of stuff, right, everything, because everything in the news right now is just tariff, 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 tariff. The
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
I tell you guys all the time on the channel, this is more my political side, guys, but I'll tell you guys this right now. Right, a lot of times, look, dude, if you don't know how the news operates right now, everything is at a negative. Everything has a negative slant when it comes to economy.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything has a negative slant, right, for reasons. Now, with me saying that, not saying that Microsoft's not doing that, but again, they never came out with anything official saying why or what not they're doing. That's just the general consensus because when they're looking at the overall price hike of the console overall, which I believe the Series X came out for five. Didn't they? It came out for they come out for $599 or no? I think the Series X original price wasn't it $599. I might have to go look that.
What was that part that you said that you think the Series X what?
When the Series X came out, it was a 500 and was it 530 or $599?
Or the Series X?
Yeah.
Well, it's always been 499, but with the tax and everything, it's about 535.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, so that is a big jump. But I'm
Yeah.
not saying what I'm saying is not just don't assume it is.
Yeah, but
Again,
and the jump is that it's now 599,
it's
right?
fine. Yeah.
It's a
So what
$100 difference, and then if
I
you get the 2 terabyte, it's 729. But granted, again, with the 2 terabyte, you're still getting not only the 2 terabyte memory, you're also getting the disk drive and the stand. Unlike PS5 Pro, that they don't give you the stand, they don't give you the drive, and just for the drive alone, it's $80 plus tax.
how
And
much
then
was how much was the 2 terabyte Xbox Series X when it released?
huh?
How much was the Xbox Series X? Two
The two
terabyte.
terabyte, the one that came out with the galactic, you know,
Yeah.
motif. You mean?
Yeah. Yes.
It was $599. It was six
Okay.
hundred.
Okay. My bad. So that's my mistake. It was the 599 was the 2 terabyte.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was fine. It was 600. Yeah, it was 600. They
My bad.
charged you an extra 100 for the terabyte, and people were like, "Oh, it's too much money." You get what I'm saying? The thing is that the SSD technology is still too pricey. You get what I mean?
Yeah. 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 I was talking about that
And,
earlier.
and it hasn't gone down. You know, so that's also a factor. But the thing, Microsoft in a way kind of shot themselves on the foot because they decided to do it a proprietary technology with their key card, with their card, memory card,
Yeah.
and a lot of third party. I don't know if it's due to the technology itself, with the velocity architecture or whatever it may be. They didn't want to come in and actually make more from third party, right? So you would only be able to get the actual official one from Xbox. It wasn't until just I think last year when I think it's White Westinghouse. What is it? Not Westinghouse. What the fuck is the name of it? Is it
Western
West?
Digital.
Is it Westgate
Oh, was it Western? I thought it was Western Digital. WD. Yeah.
or Western Digital? One of those, right? Where they started making one,
Yeah.
and just the other day, as a matter of fact, my son sent it to me. Just the other day, my son sent it to me. The memory card that was 2 terabyte, right? They had it for 174
Hmm.
for a 2 TB, which it's good. And they had one that was like I think it was 4 TB, and that was like 399 or something. It was like a crazy price.
Right.
But again, that also played a factor. With PlayStation, they didn't do a proprietary. They just left it open ended, and that's why you can get it cheaper memory from a third party. But the caveat is that it's at your own risk when you change and put it in. If it doesn't work properly because it needed to have a heat sink casing, right? And a lot of people didn't know that at the beginning. And if it didn't have a heat sink casing, it would not work. It would mess up and actually mess up the unit. It would completely void the console's actual fucking warranty. So they basically told you, okay, you can use these and that, but it's at your own risk. If something happens, it voids the warranty, and we're not fixing your unit. You know what I mean? Who
Yeah.
the fuck does that? Who sells a product and says
Yeah.
some shit like that to the consumer? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. There's no win in any of it. Right. At the end of the day,
You know what I mean?
you just
Especially
gotta
that
wait
they,
for it to come
especially
down.
that they know,
Well, you just have to wait for the stuff to come down, which is the problem, and nothing
right,
else.
right. But especially if they know that they need more memory. You know what I'm saying? How are you gonna tell your consumer? Yeah, you can buy extended memory, but if you buy third party and you put it on and it messes up the console, then it voids your warranty. It's on you. Like what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? And people didn't call them out on that shit. They were like, "Oh yeah, that's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll just watch a YouTube video." And that's the shit that we're talking about yesterday. Like we talked
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that's the hypocrisy and the bullshit. These motherfuckers basically act reckless, don't care, show you how they don't really prioritize the consumers, and yet people give them a slap in the wrist and say, "Okay, you cool, you can do it, you can get away with this, right?" And I'm like, "What the like? How does that make any logical sense?" Like it's like yesterday, Porter Rock's brother did a video, Dark Doc, trying to say, Microsoft, what makes you think that your games have the value of $180 the way that Nintendo games do? I'm like, oh, this motherfucker lost his goddamn mind.
I saw
First
the
of all,
video. I don't watch his stuff though.
first of all, I saw clips of it, right? First of all, Nintendo games, they only cost like 30 or 50 million bucks to make. Mario Kart didn't cost no $300 million to make. Okay, that's number one. So Nintendo trying to sell those games for the price they do is them saying we don't give a fuck and them being arrogant. Okay, because Mario Kart doesn't hold a candle against Forza Horizon 5, for example. And Forza Horizon 5 has real world locations. It has real freaking music from real artists. It has real licensed cars and vehicles, over 900 of them. It has real world, real time weather, real time damage, ray tracing, HDR, Dolby Vision, HDR, Dolby Surround. It's in another league. And Microsoft didn't even charge no $100 for the game. They charged the standard price. And when they did charge the $100, it was for early access, where you got the game 7 days or 6 days or whatever the case it was early, and it included all the DLCs, right? Which is different. You were getting more for paying for it and an incentive, as opposed to Mario Kart World. It's going to be $80 with nothing. You don't get no early access, and it doesn't include no DLC. The DLC they already said was going to be separate. You see what I'm trying to say? So it's not on the same bracket. He's trying to say about popularity, like Nintendo games are like this shit. All right, bro, Nintendo is the first anti-consumer company that started all this shit. That's number one. And Nintendo games were shit compared to Sega games and everybody else. And besides, first, Microsoft been in the market way longer than just when people know now, with them being in the console space. Because they were doing consoles with the MSX before the Nintendo NES. That's how Metal Gear Solid, Kojima's Metal Gear Solid, the first one ever, was discovered, and then it came to NES when the Nintendo was big, but it was first on the MSX, right? And they've been publishing games for PC and on consoles since the '80s, early '80s, right? So Microsoft has been around the block since the beginning. These motherfuckers think that Microsoft just started. Like, oh no, it was the OG. It was the first time. Yes, it was a full blown console that they made and distributed and published and created and manufactured themselves. Yes, because the MXX was their hardware technology, but they had different companies manufacture it. Like they had Panasonic do one, Sony did one, JVC did one, RCA did one, Toshiba did one. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And since they weren't putting the cost for the manufacturing, well, that's why it didn't just say Microsoft's MSX, but it was their hardware technology at the time that was like a computer hybrid and a console hybrid, even back then, in that early stages in, right before the Nintendo 6, NES, which was what, 84, right? When did the Nintendo NES, the NES came out? So 84, 85.
I think 84. I can't remember.
Or was it 83? It was around that time bracket. Well, the MSX was before that. They were like, I think 81, 82, maybe even 80. It was before all that, right? Because me and the real one that was made first was the Sega Master System, which was the Mach 1 in Japan. When Master System came out here, right after the NES, which was a year later, which I think was 85, the Master System was the third version of that system. It was the Mach 3. You see what I'm saying? And this motherfucker over here with the old I'm like, bro, first of all, you're not a gamer. You're not a real gamer. You're a casual gamer. That's number one. Number two, you're also an opportunist because you only want to be around, want to do stuff when things were working in your favor of what he liked, right? He was cheering Xbox with Game Pass the entire time. He even touted and bragged that he didn't buy games. And that Game Pass was the truth. And as soon as he saw that, people started mocking Xbox because games like Starfield and games like Hellblade 2 were not allowing you, right, to do 60 frames per second in quality mode, which is the 4K mode, right away. When he said, oh, you claim it was the most powerful console. Yeah, Microsoft said it was the most powerful console, which it is, and the architecture proves it is. But they never said that every game was going to be 4K 60, uncompromised. They said it will allow for developers to do games 4K 60 uncompromised, meaning if the developers stay within reason, right? Because the more ambitious developers get, the more technically difficult the development of games are going to be, right? And as time goes on, with newer technology, newer graphic engines, it's going to be a lot more difficult. Hellblade is on Unreal Engine 5. It was the first game to jump to Unreal Engine 5. They're just learning that hardware, right? Or that engine. So they brought it out high fidelity, left it at 30, so that they don't have to worry about frame dips and stuff like that and hurting the gameplay experience because they wanted more of a cinematic experience to make it look more like a movie, which is what they were going for. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure if they go now and update it and tweak it up, they probably can reach 60 frames with no problem at a higher fidelity too, if they really want to, because you were able to do it on PC because they let you mess with the tabs by itself. You know, you yourself as the owner, but it's also not like you can go and put Hellblade ultra high settings, ultra high textures, ray tracing, global illumination, 60 frames per second, 4K resolution, HDR Dolby Vision, HDR Dolby Surround. You can't do that also on a PC. It's not going to do it because it's not going to be able to handle it because it's too demanding for that game. You get what I'm trying to say? You understand what I'm saying, brother?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that game is too demanding. You can't even do it on PC. Maybe not with the new card that came out, but how much is that new video card? It's like 2,500. So you're really gonna pay $2,500 just so that you can get the full fidelity with just 30 frames more in the game? You really feel that's worth $2,500 when you can get an amazing high quality experience on a console for a fraction of the cost, which is 500? And the reality is you're really paying 300 because if you traded in any of your consoles that you had already that were existing consoles, you're only paying the difference. So you're really paying $300 and still getting a game that runs at 4K with HDR, with ray tracing, with global illumination, and fantastic quality graphics. Just the difference is that maybe it'll be 30 frames as opposed to 60, or maybe it'll be 40 frames as opposed to 60. I'd rather take that that negativity, or take away that little thing that is not giving you, for paying way less than I would for to get just a fucking video card for that price. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And as gamers, we're more concerned about playing the game that we have a good time, not that it specs to make it look the best. That for us is an extra. That's for us is like the cherry on top. That for us is not the priority. You get what I'm trying to say? As long as the game is good, we don't care if it's always going to be in 4K or if it's always going to be in 60 frames 4K or if it's always going to have HDR or if it's always going to have ray tracing. We don't care about that. Real gamers care about, is the game good and is it fun and does it have a compelling gameplay mechanics, and then if it has good story and good music and good graphics, that's just extra. That's the icing on the cake. It's the cherry on top. We are not going to worry about that so dramatically. Where, oh my God, we have to have it that way. I mean, if we have it, great. If we don't, we just play it the way it is. That's how we enjoy games and how we've been enjoying games for the longest time, right? I mean, if that was the case, then we would have never embraced and loved shit like Pac-Man, Galaxian, Zaxxon, you know what I mean? Centipede, Donkey Kong, Congo Bongo, all those games would have never meant anything to us if all we cared about was just how the game looked graphically. You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, brother?
Yeah.
So that's why I always like that argument and that sentiment is stupid. Like, it's dumb. It makes no fucking sense when they try to pull that card because that's not a reality. That's not. real. Most people that will go buy something on a console, they're gonna buy it to play video games. They're not gonna buy it thinking, "Oh yeah, I want the best visual fidelities at the highest quality, and I don't care how much it costs." They're not thinking like that. That's not a realistic mindset. You know what I mean? Playing on PC for the expensive best of the best, you know, um, hardware. It's like when you going out and buy a car, you're like, all right, I want to go buy me a fucking Corvette or a Lamborghini or a Maserati or a BMW versus getting a Toyota or getting a Ford or a Kia. You get what I mean, brother?
Hmm.
It's a luxury. We're not we as long as the car gets us from point A and point B and it works, that's what we're worrying about. We're not worrying about all that other stupid shit. So it's almost like a niche thing, niche audience, niche and a niche scale, right? So yeah, but I also think that, like we said yesterday too, and when you just said, and Mr. Kimo saying, I feel that that's also a good point. I feel like Microsoft is probably saying to themselves, well, listen, if our console's not selling as much as the other ones, right, on a monthly basis, right, and that means that if PlayStation sold 10,000 units in March, Microsoft probably sold, let's say, 5,000 units, right? Or 3,000 or 4,000, let's say, right? They're probably thinking, well, if they're not buying it more than the other competition anyway, then we might as well keep the price the way that it needs to be in order for us to make full profit from that hardware because we're making up the other costs of what we would with more sales for hardware in the other areas like cloud, Game Pass services. You know what I mean? And so that's probably what they're also thinking. And that's probably why let's just put the gate, the console at the normal value of what we're paying out of pocket. Because when I looked it up yesterday, like I was telling you, they're still, as of 2025 in January, they're still losing from $100 to $200 for every console that they sell with the Series S and X. So I'm assuming with the S they lose 100, and with the X they lose 200. You see what I'm saying, brother?
So that's like yesterday, right? My concern, and then this is again, I see everybody reacting to this, and you can just it's just by the numbers, right? It's paint by numbers when people react to it. Right, same thing, right? Greedy corporation, all this stuff. People out here blaming Trump for tariffs and stuff like that. On the flip
Yes.
side, right, I'm sitting here looking at this stuff, saying, dude, what if, right? This is Microsoft's initiation, right, for us to begin to make us realize, like, for me personally, that's why I said in the beginning of the podcast, this is what I said. Why is Microsoft raising the price of the Xbox? That's the
Right.
now that's the question,
The
right?
question, the magic question, right? Mhm.
And so Sarah Bonds already came out and talked about their next console being leaps and bounds above anything else that they've done.
Yeah.
Then there was rumors about the whole thing with the hybrid/hybrid console, right?
Yes.
We know
Hmm.
Microsoft is going to come out with a handheld, right? We know that they're doing that, right? Um, this could be one of the reasons, and they could have had this in the planning, right? It's just and kudos to Microsoft if you're going to drop it at any time, and if you're going to, I'm not saying they're doing this to deflect, right? But that's what businesses do, right? They're like, well, if the other two guys raise their prices, we might as well just jump on board because, like we talked about yesterday, man, to kind of prep us for what's coming, right? The cost of what's to come. Now, I don't know if all of that's true. That's just me sitting here looking at what the trend and where it's going, and all the rumors that are out there about what Microsoft's next console is going to be, which is probably going to be about $599 anyway. Oh, hold on, guys. I got you, dude.
Go ahead. Repeat what you were saying. The what if with the Sarah Bond saying this, setting up. Go ahead. I couldn't get it because they cut me out.
Oh, okay, no worries. So Sarah Bond we know she already talked about a hybrid console, or about no, Sarah Bond talked about the next generation Xbox console is going to be leaps and bounds above anything else, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then the rumor came out about a hybrid console, right?
Yeah.
Something that's a little bit PC, something that's a little bit console, right?
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense because of the direction they're going in. They've already talked about the handheld. Phil Spencer wants the handheld, right? He wants that to happen. So to me, it's kind of like, are they prepping us with this price point? Are they prepping us for what the next generation of gaming is going to cost? You see what I'm saying? That's the first thing I ask myself. That's the first thing.
Which is a very big probability because they already said that next generation is not far away. So
We
I'm
can't.
pretty
Hey,
sure.
hey, brother, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. There's a
I
lot of.
said which is a very big probability
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
because next gen they already said is not far away.
Yeah.
So if let's say the console's coming out next year, right? That could make a lot of sense, right? So for them to try to ease our way to adapt into okay, you're gonna pay 600 for the next console, right?
Look, we already know Microsoft and well, especially Xbox, dude. They love to roadmap. Okay. This stuff
Yeah,
is
and they love to roadmap. That's a
yeah.
great
This is
point.
why the whole tariffs things. Look, and I'm saying, look, I know people feel a certain way about tariffs. I know some people feel a certain way about this president. It is what it is. But what I'm trying to tell you guys is Microsoft tends not to pull stuff out of their ass when they do these things, right? Right. It's normally that something's in the process. Now they could have multiple processes, multiple lanes that they could go through, right? But when they do things, man, there's a rhyme and a reason or a purpose when they do it. I'm not saying you have to agree with it. I'm not saying that you can't not be happy about the price increases, dude. Nobody likes price increases, dude. I just went to the store again last night, dude. I dropped $175. I have no idea what I bought. You know what I'm saying? I paid groceries. I looked at what I have, and I was like, bro, I can't even. This wasn't
Yeah.
even anything for a dinner for a
No,
week.
I mean you're right. Yeah, you buy two slabs of meat and it's like $80 right there.
Yeah, I saw a video, bro, where some guy was talking about buying your groceries on installment payments, and I thought it was funny when he said that, but it's actually happening now. People are actually.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad they're hurting for money right now, and that has to do with the credit card debt and all that kind of stuff too. I'm not trying to distract, but my point being, guys, is that that's I can't see that Microsoft just doing it just to do it. Like to me, they always have something going on. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not saying you have to like it or not. I'm just saying.
I mean, my other issue with that too, to add onto what you just said, is how can people, right, straight out with a straight face say, "Oh, Microsoft is just being greedy," right?
Mm-hmm.
When this month alone on Game Pass, we had 6 double and triple A games come out back to back within the time window of a month and a half. Each game costing anywhere from 50, 40 to $60, even 70. And we didn't have to pay a dime day and day whatsoever. We have the right that we can. We have the right that we could buy it for that price day and date and own it right out, flat out. But we don't have to because they're giving us Game Pass.
Yeah.
On top of that, knowing that all those games are not only first party games that they have to pay a lot of money to develop, because something like Doom did not cost $1 million to make. Doom the Dark Ages easily probably cost them another 150 million to make. Right? So they're putting $150 million game on the service day and day for $20 a month so anyone can access it. And on top of that, they're spending billions, almost $2 billion a year, said by Phil Spencer himself, for Game Pass developers and games to put their games on Game Pass. So they're paying these developers upfront an amount, depending on the game, the size, and the quality, upfront so that they can get compensated and have their games, and then on top of whatever. Oh, that's so cute. That's so cute. And have their games, also, pay out profits based on how many times it's downloaded, or if it's downloaded, let's say 100 times, 300 times downloaded, probably a certain amount of money, or or how many times it's bought after people played it on Game Pass, right? However it is that they work the logistic, right? The point is, they're paying developers, right? Then they're also providing us with free backwards compatibility, free upgrade. They also providing us with free cloud saving, which both Nintendo and Sony charge you just to save your games because it's under a paywall. They're throwing in cloud gaming on the go alongside with Game Pass, right? And with the ability to play online with Game Pass Ultimate. We buy games, we get both versions, PC and Xbox. You don't have to buy them separate. On PlayStation, it's two SKUs. You have to buy them separate. If you bought it on PlayStation, it's not going to travel over to your PC. You have to buy the PC version separate. You see what I'm saying? They're giving us free dedicated service for all games on Xbox, the console, unless the developer chooses not to use them, instead of peer-to-peer. On PC, a lot of games, to have the better service and servers, you have to pay for that dedicated server. By the hour, by the 2 hours, whatever it is, their bracket of what they do. Maybe $5 an hour, $5 every 2 hours, $10 every 3 hours, whatever the case may be, but you have to pay for it separately, right? You don't have to do that, right? They're giving us free forward compatibility with all our old peripherals from the last generation. Can you do that with the Nintendo Switch too? Can you play your old controller on the new console? No, it doesn't even connect. It's a completely different setup. Same thing with PlayStation. You can't use your PlayStation 4 controllers on a PS5. You can use the PS5 controller on a PS4, yeah, which I don't know what's the point of that, but you can't use the PS4 controller on a PS5. See what I'm saying? We can do, we don't have to go out and buy an extra video card or extra. Hold on.
Yeah, so you got Mr. Kima saying retailers have to pay Texas, all of those overstock PS5s and Pros. Retailers have to pay Texas. Oh, taxes. You meant taxes, Mr. Kima? Retailers have to pay taxes, all of those overstock, all of those overstock PS5s and Pros. $4.99. Oh, is that how much it costs? Yeah, sorry, I'm not really up on the PlayStation stuff. Sorry, I missed your last one. I'm glad GTA 6 got delayed to next year because all those PlayStation fans went out and bought PS5 Pro for the. Oh yeah, that's true, man. I didn't think about that for that game. That's funny. Man, dude. It's funny to me because I talked about earlier. But when it comes to Xbox, I already have all my stuff, guys. I should have bought an extra Series X. I was actually thinking about it. I was actually thinking about buying the 2 terabyte one when it came out. The reason I didn't buy is I didn't like the Galaxy thing that they were doing. I thought that was kind of goofy, if I'm being honest. I just didn't like the design. But I wanted the 2 terabytes. Shoot, might get it now.
Hey, brother, I'm back. I'm sorry. My daughter was asking me a question.
No, go ahead. It's good. It's good. Yeah, I hear my daughter upstairs too. I think I'm gonna have to take
Go ahead. What was that?
No, I might have to take my daughter. I don't know if the mom's coming to pick her up or what's going on. But
Oh, yeah. But you were saying something before I cut off. I'm so sorry, but
no, go ahead.
so and what I was just to end my point, what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving us all these things where, again, we can do free video recording in 4K, 60 frames on our own console. We can do emulation for any old system for free. Meanwhile, Nintendo is basically charging you for emulation. And so it's Sony. And they're giving you like 1 or 2 games. I could play every PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 game on my Xbox on dev mode for free. I don't have to do anything else. I can play it right there, for example. Sony is giving you on their PSN service maybe 1 or 2 PS1 or PS2 games, or maybe a total of 10 or 15 games, and you're paying them more than what you pay for Xbox Game Pass. And they're only giving you the games the regular way that they are. You can't even make them look better resolution. Now, you could do that with the Xbox on the emulators for free. You see what I'm trying to say? In other words, they don't take the right away from us from doing emulations on our console. As long as it's on dev mode and you're not playing it online or whatever, you're good in real time. So again, like I said, they're taking care of us in all these ways, giving us all this ability and giving us all this freedom to do things on our console. Since the beginning of the generation, they did this. But people are literally sitting there with a straight face and saying they're being greedy because they're just doing what both Nintendo and Sony did first. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. In fact, I talked about that earlier. Yeah.
How is it okay that Nintendo did it, right? And then it's okay that Sony has been doing it since the beginning of the generation in increments. Doesn't matter if they didn't do it all at once, they still did it.
Mm-hmm.
They were the first ones when they made the games from 60 to 70 right in the beginning. When Microsoft had their games for 60 for 2 years after that, right? During COVID. They had their games at $60, not 70, unlike Sony. And the worst part about it, Sony only had 2 games that were next gen that you couldn't play on PS4. The rest of their games were all cross-gen games. Meanwhile, Microsoft didn't make their games cross-gen right from the beginning either. Like Flight Simulator, you can't play it on Xbox One. Medium, you couldn't play on Xbox One. Bright Memory Infinite, you couldn't play on an Xbox One. Understand? Crossfire X, you couldn't play on Xbox One. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The only game I think that was cross-gen was Gears DLC, the Hive Busters, and even Yakuza. The Yakuza for the Xbox, what was the game that came out? The other Yakuza. The one where you play as the actual cop and not Judgment. Remember Judgment?
Mm-hmm. I have it, yeah.
Okay, Judgment is only an Xbox Series X game. You can't play it on Xbox One. And it's a multi-plat. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying, brother?
Yeah, go ahead.
And again, because they were trying to push next gen forward. They weren't trying to have you stick only with last gen or feel like you bought a product that was only playing last gen games. The only reason Halo Infinite was cross-gen was because it started development on the Xbox One, then they moved it forward to the Series X. You see what I'm saying? So there was an Xbox One built, so they know that's a flagship title. They know that not everybody was going to buy an Xbox Series X right away. So it's like, all right, so let it have the port for the Xbox One and then the Series X version. But when you look at both of them, there's a substantial difference, right? In graphics and quality. Unlike PlayStation, when you play the cross-gen version, the PS5 version in some cases didn't look as good as the PS4 version, if that makes any sense. You get what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
So, again, since the very beginning of the generation, Sony started doing these changes, putting up the prices of the controller, the console at one point, then brought it back down during COVID, especially. The PSN price, they put it up, the controller prices, the prices on their games and services. But yet, because they didn't do it all at one shot, they're not the bad guys. Oh, they haven't done it yet. They didn't put games at $80. And then Nintendo did it now all at one shot with their arrogance with fucking the Switch 2 that, which nobody actually cares because If they did, then the Nintendo Switch 2 would have never sold out. And it literally sold out. Just like a lot of the games that they have for pre-order, like Mario Kart and the Metroid and the Donkey Kong. I believe some of those games, even the pre-orders, sold out. So that means all that bullshit was all hypocrisy. Oh, I don't like that's not cool, but yet they went and still bought it. You see what I'm trying to say? When you don't got no options on Nintendo Switch, you're not gonna be able to play Donkey Kong, Mario, the new Kirby, and the new Mario Kart and the new Donkey Kong on day and date on the Nintendo online service that they provide. Us Xbox guys, we will. Even when the next gen console comes out, whatever console launches, whether it's Fable, whether it's Wild, the Wild, Everwild, whatever game comes out, we'll still be able to play it day and date on Game Pass on the new console. You see what I'm trying to say? So it's a big difference. So for you to sit there and be like, oh, they're being greedy, makes you even sound kind of dumb. Because they have a reason why they're raising prices more than anybody. Because they're spending millions and billions of dollars on Game Pass, putting it there and there in the service day and date, and paying out developers, and even helping developers. Because Path of the Goddess from Capcom, Phil said it in the interview when they were in Germany, in Cologne. He said the reason why it's on Game Pass because they helped Capcom pay for the development of the game, and they gave them the okay to, and agreed to put it on fucking Game Pass day and date, even though it was a multi-plat.
Well, that's the funny thing about all of this, right? It's because these guys are complaining about Xboxes and they don't even own Xbox. Nor do they ever wanted to buy an Xbox anyway, right?
Right.
And so they're complaining about it. And on the flip side of that, I'm sitting there looking at these guys and I'm like, yeah, bro, but you guys have PCs. Go get Game Pass, PC Game Pass, or buy it on PC. Or go buy a Samsung TV, right? And get Game Pass. Like, at least on the Xbox side, you have options, right? And then if you don't like those options, which I'm pretty sure you don't, because you guys just don't like Xbox at the end of the day. So I see some Xbox guys losing their minds about this kind of stuff. Like, why are you listening to these people? Like I showed a screenshot earlier, Yang Yi, Angry Joe, all these pricks, right? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys, maybe even if you own an Xbox, probably don't play it. But I doubt you guys even use Xbox, right? Some of you guys might have Game Pass, but then you probably have Game Pass for other means, right? So you're to me, like, you're not the target people that Microsoft needs to worry about. And then actually, at the end of the day, Microsoft doesn't need to worry about anybody, to be honest with you, right? Because they're giving all gamers out. In fact, they do more for other gamers than I feel sometimes.
100%. MBG got a free copy of Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah.
He didn't pay for it.
Nope.
When the fuck has Microsoft and Phil given me, you, 100, Sega Man, Sega Forever, any of us, when they ever gave us any type of code for any game so we could review it on our channel? Never. I own over 3,000 digital games. I bought 4 Xbox Series X day one. I have over 3,000 games, almost, or 2,000 games physical. I didn't get no courtesy chair when Cyberpunk came out, like the way what's her name, Analia, whatever her name is, that fucking blonde hair chick, or the way Paris Lily did from Talk Radio, or free games, or any free pass to go to an Xbox show, the way they do all the time. We're pressed. We're pressed. You're not looking impressed because you don't even know gaming history. How you call yourself a journalist in gaming press if you don't even know gaming history? You see what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know gaming history. How are you going to call yourself actual press? Like, you're not even press because you don't know gaming history. Like, get out of my face with that stuff. You know what I mean? Brother, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, Mr. Oh no, hey, what's up, Tool Man? Just talking to Tool Man. We're talking a little bit. He was ranting. But we're talking a little bit about the price increases, and then again, we can talk about tariffs too, man. That's the most amazing thing to me with tariffs. Look, again, guys, I just want to let you know this, okay? If you guys are asking me, here's my personal opinion on tariffs. I don't care, right? So if some of you guys come to this channel and then you want to hear my perspective because you guys are political and stuff like that, I don't care about tariffs at all. At the end of the day, right?
Mhm.
The sooner we decouple from China, the happier we'll be. We need to get off the Chinese tip, man. We definitely do.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't have been on it in the first place. We shouldn't have done a lot of stuff over the last 20, 30 years that we did. This is the course correction that is needed. Fortunately, right, stuff is gonna be in flux, right? And that's another reason why I talk about what's going on with tariffs, right? Is at the end of the day, we don't know. And the reason I'm saying that, dude, is some of you guys be like, oh, well, you're just trying to throw shade towards the Trump administration, stuff like that. No, nobody knows, man. The only person that knows is Trump. And at the end of the day, nobody else knows, right? And what I mean by
Mhm.
that, nobody else knows, is that not even these other countries know. That's why everything is in flux. That's why the stock market be going up and down like crazy.
That's what they're called. That's why they're called trade wars. They're trying to 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 play chess. See who caves in the first. To make.
I figure we're gonna lose him because he's in. T-Bot was in now. When he pops back in, I had him. So I just want to lay that out there for you guys first and foremost on the channel that come here, dude. I don't care what they do. The only thing I care about is just getting off decoupling from China, and I'm not worried about Microsoft because Microsoft is a big company, right? Like if you guys didn't see the news, Apple already adjusted, right? Apple's gonna take their stuff over to India. That's what Microsoft might do. I don't know. I don't know. Right? That's why I'm just like I'll wait for official word. But that's why I tend to lean more to the fact that all of this stuff, price increases, have stuff to do. Like I said, look, tariffs might be a reason. I'm not saying it's not. You just haven't got an official word from Microsoft. It never might, right? But at the end of the day, what I am saying is that there's a lot of other stuff to keep into consideration when you're looking at why the cost of everything's gone up when it comes to gaming. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like the reason why everything else has gone up for the last 5 years, by my estimation. And that's the thing that I'm more concerned about, if I'm being honest. The
Well,
cost.
like I was trying to say, it's called trade wars. It's like playing chess because they want to see who can give the best deal so that everybody comes out on top and winning. But what people don't seem to understand that in America, we rely too much on everybody on the outside because we did these deals so many years ago that are archaic and not really fair to us when we don't really need the resources from the outside, right? Like when it comes to oil, for example, and then the gas got to go up every 2 to 3 years. You see it goes up really, really high when we don't really need to do that. I mean, Trump built the pipelines, had like 18,000 people working, and day one when Biden came in, as you know, he fired all those people and then publicly told them, just go get another job.
No,
You see?
they told them to learn how to code.
Oh yeah, yeah. You remember he said, "Oh, go get a job, go get another job." Like what the fuck? You tell somebody you just fired out of nowhere that had no idea they were going to get fired in one day, go get another job when that's their livelihood, right?
No, they did. They told them that. They told them to learn how to code, which ironically, in this last year with this current administration, you see what's happened with coding, with tech jobs. Right? So it's a correction, is what it is. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
correction.
yeah.
That's
And
why I
once
said
people
earlier.
start manufacturing in here, everything will be more cost efficient.
Well,
Prices will go down, and
yes.
it'll build more jobs for everybody else here, and the economy will get fixed.
I talked about this earlier before you jumped on, and it's one of my pet peeves about Microsoft. Dude. I wish they would just bring, um,
And manufacture here, right?
well, they're at least for their peripherals, right? Because I play a lot of multiplayer. Arya plays a lot of multiplayer online shooters, especially.
Nothing
And
well.
and the one thing I've noticed about the Xbox controllers, man, when it comes to their sticks, those things wear off really
Yeah,
quick.
yeah. So they make them cheap, right?
Yeah. So that's something to me. Like I would
Okay.
just like for me, like if they're gonna go with this cost increase, you have to be able to match the quality with the cost. And one of the things I think they need to do is just forego, just try and make an elite level controller at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order for me to, so what I've done, I just go get elite controllers because I use them so much. I play so many shooting games, dude. Because if you have problems with the sticks on the elite controller, which tend to last longer, I've found. But if you have it, you can also buy the accessory pack and replace them. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they need to figure that out. And if they bring the production back here for this stuff, plus I want them. Like I talked about this at nauseam, right? And we talked about this before. I would like to see them bring back stuff like um, Guitar Hero. Especially since they want to do a lot of live service games, they could use Guitar Hero in that nature, and then make their own guitars and stuff like that. That's what I like to see them do, right?
Right.
And either they bring it back to the continental U.S., which of course would be Mexico, or they bring it back to the U.S., preferably the U.S., but they might even bring it back to continental U.S. because of everything that happened the last time with the COVID, right? Like when they had to pay extra money for those chips, right? The whole supply
Mm-hmm.
chain is blown up. This is why we should be doing this.
Right.
And I could care, and guys, I'm sorry, and it's not against the people of China, dude. I've done a video on my channel, right? If you guys have not seen it, it's called the Hat Tip videos. I'm starting to do those videos on my channel because I want to give you guys like some channels that you can go check out, like China Observer, right? And these guys focus on China from the perspective of the people, right? Because the people are the ones that are suffering in China right now, not the government, but the people.
Mm-hmm.
The government decides to do, the people suffer. And I think you guys have an appreciation more for the country you live in, right? Because we don't have that problem here on that level.
Right.
Right? These people, I remember when they first started doing the manufacturing thing, whole villages got moved. And if you didn't want to move, you got moved. You had to move, and if you didn't want to move, they moved you. You had no choice. One time they flooded an entire village.
Yes.
Right. So that's the level of stuff we deal with China. That's how China gets their stuff. So I ain't crying no tears for decoupling from that piece of trash
I mean,
country.
you have to know and educate yourself in order to be able to understand. People just think that Trump is being stupid, and he's not. He's a businessman. He's smart. And look how many countries, all the countries already gave in and said yes, they're willing to make the deal, and China's trying to play the final boss and shit, acting like they're too good to be, that they're too good that we can't stop
Yeah,
them. Like, get out of here with that garbage.
they have no choice.
That's what I'm saying.
Their whole communist, their whole system of government party rule is based on saving face. That's all.
Why would you want to be doing business with people like that anyway? With a government like that, it's garbage,
Well,
brother.
at the end of the day, one thing I found interesting about it is that we actually, this is what happened with Russia with the Cold War, right? They bought into our Western influence, capitalism. Once China started getting a middle class and an affluent, when the affluent class started to expand and grow, I'm talking outside of the 500 families or whatever they have in China.
Yeah.
That has that money, right? When the affluent started, like Alibaba, Jack Ma, all these guys, when the affluent class started growing, and then China actually developed a middle class, that's when they were in trouble.
Mm.
That's when they were in trouble. The Communist Party I'm talking about.
Right.
So you raised at least a generation, maybe possibly two generation, right? With a middle class. And
Right.
once you taste that, dude, you don't want to go back.
That's right. Yeah, that is the problem.
Yeah.
Brother, my phone, I just realized it's losing it's about to die. I'm gonna head out. But I'll talk to you later because the fucking damn charger, I gotta charge the phone.
No, my phone was like that earlier. That's cool, but I'm about to wrap it up.
I apologize, my brother.
No
So
worries.
I'll talk to you guys later to the chat. Thank you, everything. We'll talk later.
All
Only
right,
because I can't. I gotta kind of leave before it cuts off.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize. My bad, brother.
No worries.
All right. Talk to you soon. Okay.
All right, talk later. Okay, bye. Yeah. So again, kind of do a deep dive on this kind of stuff, see what's really going on. Unfortunately, it affects us because politics is everywhere, which is again, unfortunate. I said that on the channel too. I don't actually like. I would like this to be focused just on what we enjoy doing, but because everything's so politicized, it's hard to do that. It really is. And so, if I'm going to sit here and talk about this kind of stuff, I would like to give you guys as broad a perspective as possible. Um, again, I'm not faulting Microsoft for doing what they're doing, and I'm not saying you have to like it. Right? Nobody likes to pay more. I don't like paying more. That's not the point, right? The thing that people are losing sight of is why. Why did they do it? Which is the whole point of this podcast, right? Why did they do it? And you have so many people, especially those guys out there with the bigger channels, man. It's just about greed. It's just about corporate greed. Okay, fine, maybe, might be, right? But is that all that it is? Right? One of the most consumer friendly companies, right? And even their detractors will say that because of everything that they offer. And before the price hike, they still have the cheaper consoles. But to sit there and think that this wasn't going to happen, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know what reality you live in. I know a lot of these dudes, they dip in and out of gaming because they do a lot of different things. And I knew this thing was going to blow up because, again, I follow people just for multitude of stuff. I follow people just because they talk about anime or because of the woke stuff and the DEI stuff in pop culture. Some guys just focus on that. Some guys focus on just being a nerd, right? And all these channels, man. But because they're kind of in the same area, right? When something like this hits, and every time it's with Microsoft, dude, it'll go across the spectrum. Like for example, I follow a guy Tyrone Magnus. He commented on it. I follow this other influencer, Melanie Mack. She talked about it. Now they're into gaming, but that's not why I follow their channels for gaming. I follow their channels for other stuff. Right. That's what I'm talking about, and it always happens with Microsoft because Microsoft again sucks all the air out of the room. This is why they're the de facto leader of the gaming industry, bar none. There is no argument to be made there. Right. Anytime anything Microsoft does with Xbox, it sucks out the whole gaming community just flips on a dime. So it is what it is. But yeah, guys, let's wrap it up, man. I've been on it for a while. Shout out to my brother Hiba for being on there. We had a really good conversation yesterday. In fact, it would probably been good if we would have had that on the conversation we're talking about today, because it was really good. And he made a lot of great points, man. A lot of time, he's the most powerful gamer, dude. Has a lot of that head knowledge and experience as well. So shout out to you, my brother, man. Thanks for being on the podcast. We'll do another one. And again, we'll do the same thing. I'll just shoot you out the link, and you can just jump in if you want to. All in chats, man. Thank you. Thank the chat for being here. Tool, man. Thanks for being here. Mr. Kima, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the commentary, man. I did not know some of that stuff. But we'll see. Daniel Berry, thanks for being here as well. Sorry, Daniel. Don't hold your breath on the sports stuff, right? But I was thinking about actually getting some subscriptions and stuff like that. I kind of changed my mind on that. Yeah, and after last year, dude, I had some bad experiences with the subscription service. And I was kind of shocked actually how bad it was. Now, and granted, WNBA on that level, maybe when they start charging more, they'll expand the game stuff. But the majority of the games I wanted to watch, I couldn't. I couldn't watch because they weren't being televised, and I was shocked about that. I was like, dude, I'm paying a service for this, and I can't watch the game. I'm in Hawaii of all places, so I shouldn't have any blackout issues. And then on top of that, though, I did appreciate that. The one thing I did get there, that it forced me to watch other games that I probably would not have watched. There's some games that I was looking forward to that are on the service, but I was ended up watching a lot of the other games because I was more interested in the other players, and that's how I kind of got up to speed with the WNBA. You got a lot of great players in the WNBA. I hope the league expands. I hope they don't do anything dumb. Hopefully, a lot of these businesses are learning their lessons when it comes to wearing your heart on your sleeve. Dude, at the end of the day, dude, just focus on the product. And that's what Xbox is doing right now with their console, with their games. Like they're focusing on the product. Dude, the market decides. I'm a firm believer in that. I am a believer in free trade and free market. But what we've been going through, man, hasn't been free trade and free market. That's why we need this correction. So Xbox and Microsoft definitely have the right to do what they're doing. What you need to do is be a consumer. And if you agree or disagree with it, let your wallets speak for you. That's what I do. Right? When I go to the store, dude, there's some stuff that I want to get, but I'm not paying the amount on it because I think it's not worth it. Right? When something jumps from $4 to $9, $10, I'm like, no. Unless I absolutely need it, which most stuff I do not. So I highly recommend that you guys kind of change and take that perspective. Look at your gaming, man. The reason why, and for some people, they're like, "Oh, you don't seem bothered by it." I'm not bothered by it because I already got a Series X. I have a Series X. I have a Series S. If I need to go buy a Series X, I'll go buy one. I told you guys, dude, I bleed green. I'm Xbox all in. That's why this channel is Xbox All In, dude. I only focus on the Xbox. Right? I don't focus on Nintendo. I don't focus on PlayStation. That I'm never gonna own those consoles. It's one of the reasons why, man. Because when stuff like this happens, I'm already dialed into my own console. Most of the games I want to play, I bought. Most of the games that I play with and I buy now won't hit the $80 range because it's more in the single and double A realm. You know, if you got again, man, like we're being blessed right now with everything that Xbox is dropping, right? But for the most of the time, dude, AAA games don't. It takes a minimum of 2 years before these games hit, man. It's always been that way. So all these people crying about AAA games all these years, man. That's why I don't listen to them, and I know they're full of crap, dude, because that's been the cycle. That's why you need third-party games. That's why you need indie games. That's why you need a service like Game Pass, man. This fills the gaps. It fills the holes. Right, and this isn't, and then, like I say all the time, dude, this isn't your dad's idea at Xbox or your dad's double or triple A or double or single A. Dude, these games are solid. They're tight. They got replayability. They got value. Right, their prices have been starting to creep up a little bit, but that's fine. Right, so just hold yourself over. You guys are going to do what we always do. Right, if the game's too expensive, you just wait for it to go on sale. So you might have to wait a little bit longer. The great thing about being on the Xbox ecosystem is if you have Game Pass or if you participate with the idea at Xbox games, you always have something to play to hold you over. In fact, that's my biggest complaint all the time on this channel is I have time to finish the games that I have. I could literally not buy another game and still have a bunch of games to play. That's the reality for me. That's the way I've geared my gaming up to. This is why this does not bother me. And I'm not trying to rub that in anybody's face. If it bothers you, it bothers you. If you're in that boat, feel free, man. But that's the cards we've been dealt, dude, and the signs were everywhere over the last year. So anyway, thanks for being here, guys. Xbox All In channel, hold sacred forever. We out.